Oh, where did I put the scissors? Wait, am I sat on them? Hey guys, so welcome back to my channel. If you're new, I'm Katie and welcome to the Bookish adventure. So today we are doing an unboxing of my book haul. So this is probably the biggest book haul I've probably done. I'm pretty sure my last video had that title, but I think this one definitely surpasses it. I don't normally tend to buy a lot of books in one hit. I tend to gather them across a couple of months and then do a video. But this was an actual proper full-on big book haul. So my first one is my Amazon one. I did these in 2 days. What have we got? I sort of took a look at my wish list, what I sort of fancied, what I kind of wanted, and then ended up doing 2 separate orders because I had way more money left in my account than I thought I would. Okay, what we got. I've been trying to figure out, there's something in this box that's been rolling around. It literally must have just been a book. So the first book we got is the second volume of the Dorothy Must Die novellas by Danielle Page. So this one covers the next set of main characters, so the Tin Man, the Scarecrow and the Lion. So I'm really looking forward to reading this one. I'm hoping that this is going to give an insight as to A, the craziness of Dorothy and what she's becoming, and whether or not these guys are just blindly following her, or if it's to do with magic, or if they're just like, yeah, Dorothy's the one to be full house. I'm really interested to see where they are in the moral high ground, I guess. I'm really interested to see that, and if we are gonna find out more about what's to come, or if this is just gonna be sort of more just a character-based book. Next we have The Crooked Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo. So I have said before, I think in the books that intimidated me one, that I was really unsure about reading this, and I said that I was really unsure about reading this because I had loved her original trilogy, and then when I heard that more books were coming by her, I was like, okay, yeah. And then I don't know, Six of Crows just didn't really speak to me. I don't know, it wasn't really But my best friend, she's read it and she loves it, and so many people I know have read it, and so many people I chat to on Bookstagram have read it as well. It's just one of those books which is so hyped, and I know she's got new books coming, and those books are interesting me, so I'm like, you know what, we're gonna do this. And again, I'm reading something that is slightly out of my comfort zone. Obviously it is still within that fantasy genre, but I guess it's that heist story, and that's not something I've really read. We also got the final book, End of Days by Susan E. So this is the final book in the Penryn and the End of Days trilogy. I'm not even kidding, I have had the first 2 sat on my shelf for like 8 years, and it's taken me this long to finally buy the last book. Very shiny and ooh, floppy. Love a floppy book. If you saw one of my last videos, I was saying how much I loved a floppy book. My other 2 aren't shiny. This is weird. I am actually really interested in this series. It's taken me a long time to read it, and after reading that first book I was like, oh okay, yes, it's going somewhere where I didn't think it was going to go, and I have been told it's going to get a bit darker as well. So I'm finally glad I've gotten to this series, and at the moment it is living up to my expectations I had of it when I was like 21. And the final book in the Amazon box is The Reaper Man. So this is the second book in the Death collection by Terry Pratchett. I gotta get in closer so you can see just how beautiful this cover is. Look how utterly gorgeous this book is. Now do you see why I wanted to read these? On the back of it, it is exactly the same. It is that hourglass, only this ooh down the bottom is reversed, and death is missing, presumed gone. So that is the premise of this book in a nutshell. So although they are a continuation of a series, each of the books within the Discworld are standalones, but obviously are interconnected, so that's why you can read them as collections. And in this one, death has gone. So whether or not more from the first book will make an appearance, who knows, but I'm assuming that at some point he may pop back up. So this box was pretty much buys of the books that I want to read this year, and I realised that, very unlike me, I don't have any of the books that I want to read this year. Normally I tend to have them sort of ready so that when I get to it, really, I don't have to wait. Oh come on, don't do this to me this side as well. There we go. Okay, and in box number 2, all I can see right now is just that. What did I order that had sprayed edges? Okay, what should we go? Should we go for blue first? Blue first is Children of Virtue and Vengeance by Tommy Eddie. So this is still sat on my to be read list. I do this a lot. I take a risk on a fact that I'm going to enjoy the first book and have ended up buying the second one straight away. I have this thing of I end up collecting series before I even read them, which is just really bad. So one of the biggest reasons I'm excited about reading this series is, as I've said before, I've wanted to read books which are based on different cultures and mythologies. The other thing I'm very excited about this book is that it's a book that involves magic. Okay, next up we got, oh, I forgot I ordered this. I'm so bad at this. We have The Binding by Bridget Collins. So this is a book I didn't realise I already had on my wish list, and every time I walked into Waterstones I kept picking it up and thinking, do I want to read this, do I not? Having not realised I'd already picked it. So this is about a guy named Emmett who is a binder's apprentice, and he like binds people's books and stories. I'm literally skimming the back of this because I kind of vaguely remember what it is. Yeah, and within each book there is something unique and extraordinary of memory. It's either something you want to forget, like a secret or something, and then eventually he comes across a book that has his name on it. So I'm guessing it's whether or not he's gonna, I'm guessing he's gonna read it. But yeah, it is something that, yeah, you don't want to remember, you want to forget. So obviously he does not know what the book is. Yeah, this is, yeah, a book I just kept thinking, do I want to read this, do I not? Apparently I do want to read this. Next up, oh, we've got two small ones. Wow, these are really packed. God, whoever packed this, damn. And we have The Island at the End of Everything by Kieran Millwood Hargrave. So you may know that I am so in love with this author. The Girl of Ink and Stars is just one of my favourite books. I've recently read The Way Past Winter. So these books are more aimed at children, and there is an actual adult book which I'm very excited to read. But these just tell the story of sort of just brave children, and there is like a mix of like their sort of stories and mythology and how they play a part in the story. This one is about a young girl who lives on an island with her mother, and this is all she's ever known, and it's just this beautiful, wonderful island until one day this like government official turns up and turns it on its head, and it becomes an island for like a leper colony basically. Amy ends up being banished to this orphanage, I think like away from the island, and where she meets another girl there, and they decide to make their way back home. I've loved her book so far. I love the storytelling. The only thing I didn't really like with The Way Past Winter is that I felt like her islands, well not her islands, but her village stories and the spirits and like the mythology didn't play a bigger part in the book and in like saving everyone, I guess, in compared to The Girl of Ink and Stars. I really loved that one, so I'm hoping this one is going to be slightly more like that. I also wish that was a sticker so I could peel it off. Next up, Superman Dawnbreaker by Matt Dillard. Oh, Pina? I probably said that completely wrong. I have been meaning to buy this for so long. I think I actually forgot it came out. This is part of the DC Icons books. There was 4 of them by 4 different authors. So far, I've read the first 2, Wonder Woman and Batman. I still need to read Catwoman. I'm very excited because Catwoman is obviously by Sarah J Maas, and it'll be very interesting to read something that is not sort of magic wielding fantasy, and whereas this is obviously more reality based fantasy, so I'm very excited to read something different by her. I've never read anything by this author, so this will be just an interesting read. The same actually with Marie Lu, who did Batman. I'd never read anything of hers, but I've denied about reading stuff by hers. But I've also never read anything like Superman based or this genre. I watch it and I absolutely love it, but I've never actually read anything. And for the final book we got, I really am on a roll with this one, The Deathless Girls by Kieran Millwood Hargrave. Signed exclusive edition, how exciting. This isn't the adult one. The adult one is The Mercies, although this is definitely bigger than her previous books. This is definitely a lot bigger than those, but I mean, look at that damn cover, man. So this is kind of meant to be like the origin of the Brides of Dracula kind of feel to it. It's about 2 girls and their twins who are kidnapped and taken away from their family, and they basically become slaves, and they hear about this weird sort of dragon who is more dragon than man, and who accepts girls as offerings and gifts, and they meet another girl whilst in enslavement, and I think it is that idea of being given hope and something to live for and something to fight for. I am very intrigued in reading this because I actually didn't realise that it was meant to be a sort of origin story of the Brides of Dracula. That is not something I ever realised. I've only just read the blurb, so now I'm really interested in reading this. I also love blood red sprayed edges. This one probably has me the most hyped actually out of all the books that I've picked, probably because of that aspect. I've read so many and watched so many Dracula retellings and whatnot, and there's never really been anything that's been Hello? I don't know who that was. Yeah, there's never anything that's been the bride. It's always been either Dracula or Van Helsing. So this has really now got me like, oh, okay. So that is it for my massive unboxing. I did pretty well. I also spent a lot of money now looking at that pile. If you enjoyed this video, then smash that like button. Don't forget, comment down below, what do you think of my haul? Out of any of these, which ones have got you most intrigued? Are the ones you haven't heard of, or ones that you've read and you're like, yes, you will love it? If you're new, then hit that subscribe button, and don't forget, ding the bell to never miss a video. I hope you had a good weekend, stay safe, and I will see you next Thursday.